So,
isn't he dead? I'm pretty sure he's
the
dead.
guy that plays him.
I don't know.
One guy.
Listen, we've got a support button. I don't know how everyone's just not hitting the support button right now.
Yes.
Just send us all the monies. You can't buy better entertainment than this. It's got that one guy.
Pop Culture Pastor.
So, anyway, because of the vacuum left by the falling apart of the Ottoman Empire, and thus the vacuum of power in 1940s Europe, that's how we know that Ross and Rachel were on a break.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. It's a true story.
Hashtag science.
Don't you believe in science, Cody? Don't you believe? They were on a break, though.
That's what I've been told.
Look, we're pastors, so I think we should be the official determiners of that. I mean,
Yeah.
They clearly broke up at the end of that episode. She was like a break from us. She broke up with him.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean he should have gone and went and gotten Randy? No.
I was going to say,
But he went out and he started drinking.
if he had some morals,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be an issue.
He did not listen to grandma's advice, my grandma's advice, that nothing good ever happens after midnight. He went out and he drank in his sadness and did something probably he shouldn't have done. But they were clearly on a break.
Yeah.
That's just, that's just always bothered me. Felt like we needed to
Well, I'm glad we could settle that.
nail that down right now. I'm going to have lots of emails about how we're chauvinistic and whatnot.
I guess we could pivot.
Like, listen, it's not like Rachel was a great character.
No.
Rachel and Ross were both not great.
Looking back on it, not many of them were.
Why is that with the sitcoms? The sitcoms that revolve around groups of friends, and we like them because they're good friends and they're funny. But then if you take a hard look at it, you realize, oh, these are not good people. How I Met Your Mother. I mean, Barney Stinson is like a terrible character. He's awful.
Yeah.
But it's played for laughs.
2.5 Men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Charlie Sheen. Although real life Charlie Sheen's not really rocking the good character, winning.
Tiger Blood.
Yeah. Anyways, this is not what we're here to discuss.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, we're here to discuss pop culture things.
Although that's pop culture.
Yeah, it is. I like that, we start recording, we're already talking about something. I think that's a good way to come into the show.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time we turned our attention to this week's news.
I love news.
I love news too. Big surprise this week, Cody, when they announced Colin Farrell as the Penguin for the Batman movie, that they are spinning his character off for a new series on HBO Max. According to Variety, a series based on his character, the iconic DC villain, the second Batman spinoff for the streamer, who's also developing a Gotham City Police series as well.
Okay, I don't need the Gotham City Police series, although it will connect to a lot of different villains, I assume.
I love that that's where you draw the line.
Yeah, I'm all for the Penguin. Like, he might be...
He looks great in the trailer.
He's probably in my top 3 Batman villains of all time.
Like, look, the trailer looked great. I have concerns, but it looked great. There's 2 ways to look at this. DC randomly approving spin-offs for movies that haven't come out yet is apparently a thing. They approved The Peacemaker before Suicide Squad came out and subsequently bombed.
I enjoyed Suicide Squad. It was way better than the first Suicide Squad.
That's what I've heard people say. I haven't watched it yet.
Night and day difference, but also Jared Leto's not in it, so...
Is Jared Leto the kiss of death? I hope so. I hope not, for Sony's sake and their Morbius
about
movie.
Every third movie, I'll say.
Okay.
He might be the kiss of death. So.
Shocking Leto slander.
Yeah.
On a side note today, I saw someone on a Facebook group, a geek Facebook group that I will not name. When I asked, someone asked the question, name a performance so iconic that it could never be redone. He mentioned both Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, which kind of defeats the point of the question. Like, wait a minute, they can't both. If it's both, they didn't do it very iconically. To me, Heath Ledger's Joker is so iconic. I think he was on the right track that it makes Joaquin Phoenix's an outlier.
Although, if rumors are correctamundo, Joaquin is not the actual Joker. He's a precursor.
Yeah, I can see that.
That would make his performance as not Joker iconic.
Is he Heath Ledger's dad? You want to know how I got these scars? Okay. Anyways, so they've approved and they're developing a spinoff for the Penguin character played by Colin Farrell, who, again, in his short time that he gets on screen in the trailer, he looks awesome. He looks good. I love the way he's talking. He's clearly a more, real world take on the Penguin than Tim Burton's take.
Yeah.
But he looks good. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Batman movie.
I'm just saying, Colin Farrell, legitimate actor.
Yes, very legitimate.
Robert Pattinson, everything but Twilight. Everything but Twilight.
I'd say the debate's still on. What has he done where you're like, this guy's a knockout actor? Name the movie.
Okay, so he wasn't bad in Tenet. I really enjoyed him in Tenet.
Yeah, but not being bad in something isn't saying
Water for Elephants.
He's not Tom Hanks.
Water for Elephants. Yeah, I'll throw it out there.
Cedric Diggory.
He stole that Harry Potter movie.
No, he didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, again, I don't want to diss on it because I'm cautiously optimistic. Batman seems to be the one thing DC can count on them to do and get kind of right.
So is the worst Batman George Clooney, right?
Well, that movie is clearly the worst movie. I don't know that you can pin it on George Clooney. I mean, I don't think it's his fault.
I'm not blaming George. I'm just saying if we're ranking Batman.
I mean, he had the right look.
He did.
I mean, that guy is Bruce Wayne.
Very much so.
I think he was, even then, was a little old. Maybe a little old for it. I did not intend for this to be like, hey, let's figure out what the worst Batman movie of all time is.
So
which one was that? That's Batman and Robin, right? With Clooney?
Yeah.
And oh yeah. Well, who's the guy that played Robin? What was his name?
Is it Chris O'Donnell?
Chris O'Donnell. Gosh, he was terrible. Oh, poor Chris O'Donnell. No business.
Yeah.
Being an actor. I'm sure Chris O'Donnell's got a lot of talent.
So even the animated Batman movies, are held in high regards. But they also get top-notch voice actors for them. So
yeah, I don't think the problem is you can't judge. I have a hard time judging Batman Forever and Batman and Robin because they're continuing a Tim Burton universe story without Tim Burton, which is going to come off as just sort of silly and goofy when someone else does it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it did seem silly and goofy.
Yeah.
Although Val Kilmer, I feel, very underrated Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the guys that played Batman were bad, honestly. And that includes Clooney. I think Clooney makes a joke out of it. He actually actively tells people he's the worst Batman. He has fun with it, but I don't
At least he
it
knows
wasn't
it.
his fault. It's just it's like, look, the Tim Burton thing works for a couple movies. And
It
then
does.
and that's about it. For a lot of comic book people, listen, I am not a lover of the Tim Burton Batman. and I'm just above that age. You see a lot of millennials that are really into the Tim Burton Batmans. I'm not into it because for me it was just not like Batman is supposed to be like kind of realistic and gritty.
Yeah.
He's Detective Comics, man. And Tim Burton turned it into like, Six Flags.
Successfully.
This is true. Hey, look, thanks to Tim Burton, during Batman Forever, we got the Hero Burger at McDonald's, which it by itself was worth it.
Thank you.
It might be my favorite thing McDonald's ever served. It was like served on like a hoagie bun, and they put like two patties on it, like kind of overlapping a little bit. Like what are those circle graph things?
Oh, like called? A Venn diagram?
Oh, yeah. It was like it was two patties laying over each other, kind of like a Venn diagram. But it was a burger, had two different kinds of cheeses. It was wonderful. So I'm eternally thankful to Tim Burton just for that.
And honestly, I don't know if we're here right now without those early Batman movies.
P.S. McDonald's bring back the Hero Burger because it was tasty.
I'm sure corporate's listening to our podcast.
Oh, and if they are, they should sponsor us. That would be great. Give us money. Yeah. Okay. They're expecting it 2023 at the earliest. I think we're both down with it. I'm cautiously optimistic for the Batman movie, and therefore I feel less dodgy about this one as I do about the Peacemaker.
I'm looking forward to the Peacemaker. He was hilarious in Suicide Squad, and like again, maybe there is like cameos from other Suicide Squad members.
Yeah. Well, if anything, I trust John Cena. Cena? Is it Cena?
Yeah.
I like him. He's just a likable guy.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys where he doesn't have to bring the acting chops. I just like him.
Although, he kind of brings the acting chops in this.
Does he?
I'll give him some credit. I'm not saying that he's going to win an Oscar for it, but
I don't believe you. Okay, next story that I wanted to talk about here. Rebel Wilson. Do you know who Rebel Wilson is?
Yes, I do.
She was in Bridesmaids, the Pitch Perfect series.
Yes.
She's known for being the funny girl.
In Pitch Perfect, her name, Fat Amy.
Fat Amy, yeah. The actress recently admitted that when your funny girl persona is tied to your weight, it can have significant effects on your career. So Rebel Wilson took the year 2020 to apparently go on a new health regimen, get herself into some decent shape. To her part, she said it was not about looking better. She wanted to do it for her health,
which is important.
Yeah, it's great that she wanted to do that. The bad part about this is she came out in an interview and she got a lot of pushback from her team in Hollywood, her agents. When she broke the news to them, said, "I'm going to do this year of health, and I feel like I want to physically transform." And by the way, she doesn't say it, but mentally transform.
Yeah,
there's a mental health aspect that she got real healthy while doing this. She talks about that later. We'll get to that in a bit. But they didn't understand, and they pushed back a little bit why she would want to lose weight because, quote, she was earning millions of dollars playing the funny fat girl.
Yeah.
Which I gotta feel like maybe the most insulting thing. Like if my agent said that to me, I think I'd be like, I'm gonna get a new agent.
Yeah. And which, I mean, that unfortunately is a Hollywood stereotype. Yeah. I mean,
it's very unfortunate.
You go back to John Candy, Chris Farley, and they utilize Melissa McCarthy the same way.
Well, it makes me wonder now hearing this story, I'd really like to hear other stories. Like, what has Melissa McCarthy dealt with? Mm-hmm. So the first time I remember seeing her was Gilmore Girls, and I think she has lost some weight since those days, but she's still clearly a more curvy girl.
Yeah.
But I think she looks great. Mm-hmm. I think she's a beautiful person, and she's hilarious.
Yeah. Her comedy has nothing to do with her weight.
Well, and in fact, we talked about the version of Ghostbusters she was in, they wasted her talents by making her fat girl fall down.
Yeah.
Girl, which we thought was a total disservice and insult and made the movie worse. So there's clearly this kind of underlying thing going on in Hollywood. And man, it makes me think of Chris Farley. Don't think that this is just women. Chris Farley, by all accounts, was dearly loved by everybody around him. Mm-hmm. Just not loved enough to stop the gravy train and get him help.
Yeah.
That seems to be the general consensus of what happened with Chris Farley, is that everyone loved him, just not enough to say, we got to stop this train because it's heading for a dead end. Instead, they were totally fine with him being fat, manic, funny guy and right into his death. And I when I think of Chris Farley, I still get just tremendously sad. I love Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love him so much. Cody, you might be a little young for this, but I really was in like some formative years, in middle school years, when Saturday Night Live, when I believe Saturday Night Live was at its funniest. So you've got like Dana Carvey and Mike Myers and all these, Phil Hartman. And then they had all these younger guys that were coming up at the time. Sandler, Chris Rock, Chris Farley. David Spade. I mean, it was just...
Norm Macdonald joins in.
Norm Macdonald. Every week, boy, I can remember going to the lunchroom on Monday. Like, yeah, did you watch Saturday Night Live? Oh, man, it was hilarious. And when Farley started to make himself known, I mean, those were just some of the best years. And I think about how much I enjoyed Tommy Boy, Black Sheep. And I just think about, man, it just makes me sad.
Yeah. And so like when those movies came out and Billy Madison, I mean, like I'm a younger kid, but we're watching them. Like we're renting them from the video store. And
where were your parents? Shame on them.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I grew up with that humor, and like I've rewatched those Saturday Night Live years because, I mean, you have Will Ferrell. Like when I'm going through my formative years, and like
so, it's the next phase right after the one I'm talking about. Yeah,
and so it's okay. The name's like Will Ferrell's a huge name. Don't get me wrong, but like the rest of the names, I mean, you got Jimmy Fallon who can't keep it together for like a skit, like, and Tina Fey, and you got Amy Poehler, but like I think the group before, you hit the top of the top, the peak. And like reading, you find out that Chris Farley was going to play Shrek.
When he died, when he passed, he was the one who was going to play Shrek, not Mike Myers.
And so, I mean, that is just mind blowing.
This just made me think of Chris Farley, because Chris Farley I see as someone who's like, listen, the overweightness is a sign, okay? Not for everybody. But for some people, it's like, and I had a connection with this with Chris Farley because I'm an emotional eater. I've struggled with my weight my entire life, and I'm still struggling with it, with being an emotional eater, and that's what Farley does. And the problem for some people is the food's not enough. Like it's a lot of these people turn to drugs, like Farley did. Now, by all accounts, Rebel Wilson didn't have that part of the problem. But she says, I was confident being bigger. She said, talking about how this wasn't about her looks, that it was about her health. She said, I was actually pretty confident as a bigger person. But I knew deep down inside that my emotional eating behavior was not healthy. And she says healthy there. She doesn't say physical health. She's acknowledging that this is a physical and mental health thing. And she dedicated her 2020 to getting healthy. And she said, I used food to numb my emotions. And then she shared this photo on Instagram of herself at a tennis thing, and it was her at her biggest. And she's that's the other thing is I like it when people do this and then they don't immediately go to, oh, I did this, you should do this, you disgusting people. She immediately goes into this mode of like, I want to help other people. Like, this is hard. I'm not going to make light of it. And I want to help. Like, you can do this too. Right. So just a good story. Even though it's kind of shocking, although maybe not shocking that her agents and her team like kind of pushed back on her a little bit.
Yeah.
Next news story, Christmas, we're going to talk about Christmas TV here later on in this show. So it's always a good time of year for specials, Christmas specials.
Yeah.
There's one in particular that I felt I just had to point out. Days of Our Lives, A Very Salem Christmas, dropping on December 15th on Peacock. Why are you looking at me like that? You heard me right. Days of Our Lives, A Very Salem Christmas. It's a first for a soap opera to drop like a special thing. They had one apparently in December, Beyond Salem spinoff that aired in September. And here's the official line for the movie. Days of Our Lives, A Very Salem Christmas follows Will Horton, played by Chandler Massey, as he writes a screenplay before his Christmas Eve deadline. Using everyone's favorite feel-good Hollywood movie tropes, he creates a festive story based on his family and friends in Salem, but with several twists and turns you'll never see coming.
Oh, wow.
You ever watched Days of Our Lives?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it.
I was going to say the twist and turn that I would not see coming is Stefano coming back.
I love that you know characters' names. This is amazing.
So,
isn't he dead? I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Well, the guy that plays him is legitimately dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He passed away tragically a few years ago.
Jennifer Aniston's dad was on Days of Our Lives.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Unless he was Stefano.
He was not Stefano. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you my Days of Our Lives history here. First of all, my grandma called these her stories.
Yes.
She's going to watch her stories. So I can remember like summers with my grandma sometime where this would be on in the living room and I would catch it here and there. But really, my Days of Our Lives moment starts my senior year. After my senior year in high school, I got really depressed. Or at least I think I was depressed. I'm not really sure. At any rate, I was waking up at noon every day and I would just turn on the TV. And at noon is when Days of Our Lives came on. And for about a good 2.5 months, that was my pattern. And that was right in the summer. That summer was when Marlena was being possessed by either the devil or a demon. I'm not really sure they ever specified. Do you remember that by any chance?
No.
Marlena and what was her guy's name? I don't remember.
Because so what year-ish is this?
94.
Okay, so my peak years are probably summer of 95 through summer of 98.
You didn't know you were going to get Dave and Cody's peak years of watching Days of Our Lives, but we're here to expose the truth.
And quite literally, I have seen Stefano die 15 times and come back each time. Like sands through the hourglass.
Oh, man. These are the Days of Our Lives. Listen, last little bit on Days of Our Lives. I'm working. This is probably just a couple years later. I'm working at a gas station in Lawrence, an Amoco station. And this African-American gentleman walks in. And he's got a mustache. And he's wearing sunglasses. And he says hello. He's real nice right off the bat. And I'm like, hey, does anyone ever tell you look like Abe off Days of Our Lives? And he was like, he took off his sunglasses in a very James Bondish way. And he's like, that's because I am Abe from Days of Our Lives. I was like, oh, yeah. By the way, I went viral on Twitter sharing that about that actor, that story.
Noise.
Because he like runs some theater or something. He's like a big deal in LA. His name's James Reynolds. He plays Abe Carver.
Old Jimmy Reynolds.
And he was kind to just some stupid snot-nosed convenience store employee named Dave.
Who just happened to watch Days of Our Lives for a summer.
Yeah, he's probably he very politely did not ask me why a guy my age knew who he was. And I'm thankful for that.
Maybe he knew that you were just watching your stories.
I was watching my stories. Yeah. So anyways, Days of Our Lives got a Christmas movie coming out.
Oh my goodness.
This just opens the door to a lot of things, right? I mean, are they all going to come out with movies?
Are they going to make movies for TV series that have been long dead, that this audience typically watches, such as Murder, She Wrote?
That's due for a reboot.
That is.
That's due. I mean, who could you get? Okay. Serious discussion.
J.B. Fletcher.
Who gets that role?
Oh, that's tough.
I mean, it can't be Angela Lansbury. God rest her soul. I don't know why I did that.
Is she dead?
Is she Angela Lansbury? I just assumed she was.
I thought she was still amongst the living.
What? Is she immortal?
Maybe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's still alive. She's 96.
Oh, wow. Whoa, my bad, Miss Angela Lansbury.
That might be Dame Angela Lansbury to you. I don't know if she has that title or not.
Well, if she doesn't, she should. What's the holdup?
Exactly. Emily Blunt.
Oh, she's too big, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what about the girl from Star Wars?
Daisy Ridley?
Yeah, she's a little young, but...
Yes, very young for J.B. Fletcher.
Just go in a different direction with it. Benedict Cumberbatch was pretty young when he started playing Sherlock Holmes.
This is true.
I mean, he was younger than your average Sherlock Holmes. He's just so weird looking, he looked old. The Cumberbatch.
I'm trying to think who is a forgotten actress. Who's the lady that's in all the AHS shows?
AHS?
American Horror Story.
Oh, is she British?
No, but she can be Jessica Lange.
Oh, okay, yeah, Jessica Lange would work. What about Frances McDormand?
Ayo.
Oh, who wouldn't watch that? She's way too big for that. She's won like Academy Awards.
Yes.
If she wasn't uppity about it, I don't know her. She might be uppity about it. Maybe she's not, though. Maybe if you backed up the bank truck and you said, we want to reboot Murder, She Wrote with Frances McDormand. Oh, tell me that wouldn't get viewers.
You would have me sign up. And I was forced to watch this show against my will.
Special extra bonus if you can get the Coen brothers to do the pilot.
Yes.
Because she's married to one of them.
Oh.
Yeah, did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
I do have some weird Angela Lansbury trivia for you.
Whew, I thought that was going in a different direction. I thought you were about to say you had some weird Angela Lansbury crush or something. I was about to, I thought that was, man, I thought that was going in a weird direction.
So one of her children, like she lived in California in the 60s, like became really close with Charles Manson. And they had to move because she was joining the family or was about to.
No.
So, boom, knowledge bomb.
Wow, that was a knowledge bomb. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we got here.
I don't know either.
It's like we were just walking down the street in a strange town and we just the conversation was so good. And then we just looked up and we're like, where are we? What were we talking about? I honestly don't remember what we were talking about.
Days of Our Lives.
Oh, of course. We went from Days of Our Lives to Angela Lansbury. Naturally.
Yes.
As one does.
Very much so.
Okay, let's get back on track. 3-time Oscar nominee and Rocky star Sylvester Stallone will play the lead role in a Paramount Plus mob drama from Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan and Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire veteran Terrence Winter.
Oh.
The part will mark the first regular series role for Stallone in his 50-plus year career. It's based on something called Kansas City. It follows Sal, who's played by Stallone, a New York mobster who's forced to relocate to present-day Kansas City, Missouri, and is faced with the task of reestablishing his Italian mafia family in the Midwestern city. Sal encounters several surprising and unconventional characters as he forges a path to power. Are you in or are you out?
I'm in, but I do have a little hesitancy.
Why?
Okay, so
to me, this is a home run.
Should be, but like every
I'm gonna let you finish.
Mel Gibson movie feels like Braveheart set to whatever time era he is in, yada yada, or character or country, whatever.
I'm gonna tell you why. Okay,
Taylor,
go ahead, finish. Yeah.
Sheridan's. So he helped with writing and directing some of Sons of Anarchy, and he was on Sons of Anarchy.
Yes.
And Yellowstone feels like Sons of Anarchy Midwest cowboy rancher.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he'll do that with this story, which is already based on a story. A pre-existing one, so I would think that would hinder it from, but with the mob ties, it could just as easily kind of feel like that.
Okay, so let's break it down with the first part, because I was worried that you were expressing concern, but I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, because everyone loves Yellowstone. But let's talk about Yellowstone for a second. This show is not... It's a well-acted show, and therefore you kind of fall for the characters. I'm not sure it's a well-written show. I'm not sure that this is just grand writing. Okay, the show Yellowstone. You're right. It's like a mixture of Sons of Anarchy with cowboys and a dash of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
it just has that kind of feel to it. And in fact, even in this most recent season, I do watch Yellowstone. Even in this most recent season, some of the characters are bordering on already becoming kind of caricatures of themselves. Mm-hmm. They're almost cartoonish, which is happening really fast because this is only season 4?
4, yeah. Which I mean, so I feel like Sons of Anarchy, you start to get that about season 4 into season 5 for sure. And so I loved Sons. I watched every episode.
I did not watch Sons of Anarchy. It was too bikery for me.
And there were side stories that I was more intrigued by than the actual, main story that they were trying to tell. And I'm like, flush this part out.
Yeah.
Or give me the prequel to it. 'Cause I want to know about Jax Teller's dad.
A side note, a Yellowstone side note. This has nothing to do with what we were talking about. Kevin Costner, using his Yellowstone character vehicle, has become the top mouth actor in the game. That dude, especially after he got shot at the end of season 3, spoilers.
Yeah.
Ever since in season 4, he seems to be I don't know whether he thinks in his mind that his character's mouth's always dry. From a result of it, I don't know if he got hit in the salivary glands. Not really sure what happened. But once you see it, you will not unsee it.
Yeah.
The dude is always moving his tongue around inside his closed mouth, and you can see it.
I feel like
I pointed it out to you. Have you noticed since I pointed it out?
Yeah, I feel like maybe he thinks his character needs a dip in.
It's weird. It's really weird.
Or maybe he studied someone that chewed tobacco for his character.
Maybe.
And then he was like, I don't want to chew that stuff. It's gross.
So the Yellowstone, if we can get back on track, the Yellowstone part of this equation, I'm ever so slightly nervous, but you have to give credit to Sheridan. Clearly, the guy can put together a winner.
Oh,
Sons of Anarchy and Yellowstone are just both massive successes.
Mm-hmm. And even if it's just for a couple seasons of greatness, those couple seasons are phenomenal.
Here's the part where I'm really excited. So you bring Terrence Winter on board of Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire fame. And I'm not sure. Let me look and see what exactly he did. Do we know what he did?
He did everything. What did he not do?
Do you have anything real to add? Or
I have nothing.
I'm gonna Google him real quick, or IMDb. He was a producer on The Sopranos. That's enough for me. He was director and producer on The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire. Both of those, I think, absolute classics in the telling of a mob story, mob, mafia, whatever. Just great entertainment, mixed with Sylvester Stallone. Now, do you remember a movie called Copland?
Vaguely.
So Sylvester Stallone was in this movie called Copland that was a criminal underworld drama, except he was a police officer in this movie. And he was very it was so different because it's Sylvester Stallone, but he gained weight for it. And I don't mean muscle weight, he gained a paunch for this role. And he played this very, very human character, which we're not used to seeing.
No.
And it gave us it was almost like watching an alternate universe Sylvester Stallone. Because here's my contention. Sylvester Stallone is actually a really, really good actor. His career comes to a crossroads at First Blood, right? So he gets the Oscar love for Rocky, and then Rocky kind of becomes this cartoonish thing where he's like an immortal, invincible boxer, right?
Yeah, Rocky 5 should never have happened in anything after it.
But then he gets to this crossroads at First Blood, which I still contend is an amazing movie. It's not a joke. It is meant to be a dramatic, someone's dramatic take on how we treated veterans after they came back from Vietnam. And there are parts of that movie where Sylvester Stallone does some really subtle things acting wise that I thought were great. But the part that explodes in that movie is all the action stuff. And Rambo becomes Rocky. He's just a different version of this immortal kind of character. And then, he gets caught up in that 80s action star wave, right? And thus never gets to go down that road of Sylvester Stallone, serious actor, except for that brief moment in Copland, which he doesn't get. People forgot about that movie, but I watched it. I thought he was wonderful in that movie.
Yeah, because now when I think about Sylvester Stallone, it's Rocky, Rambo, Expendables. And
right.
It's so it's fighting and explosions, and then more explosions and fighting.
Now, he's probably not going to be a vulnerable guy in this show. He's going to be the leader of this mob group who's relocated to Kansas City. He's going to be Kevin Costner's character in Yellowstone. So part of it makes me sad because it's just going to be Sylvester Stallone still gets to be, a tough guy. But I'm hoping beyond hope that they make him a more vulnerable kind of Tony Soprano guy. I'm hoping. But the Yellowstone thing makes me nervous. Because Kevin Costner's character in Yellowstone is again, a mythological creature.
The Ron Perlman's character in Sons, he has some vulnerability. And they make him really tough, and he can outthink everyone around, and it keeps him alive for way too long. But I think that there's some hope.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm in just because I like Sylvester Stallone, and I still remember seeing him in these other things and seeing what he could do. And I'm hopeful that he's going to get a chance to shine now in his twilight acting years.
He was in Guardians and the new Suicide Squad. How many times have we brought that movie up today? I don't know.
All right. We're going to take a break, short break. We'll be right back to talk about our best, greatest Christmas television memories. What brings us joy in the Christmas season? We'll come back and talk about that next. All right, welcome back. We took our break. We're ready to hit our main focus of the day. We're in the Christmas season here, Cody, and I really wanted to talk about. We're going to talk about Christmas movies the next couple of podcasts.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to devote one to TV.
Yeah.
Just our good, Christmas is such a special time of year for everything, and it doesn't stop with pop culture. There are specific pop culture memories I have around Christmas.
Yeah.
That just take me back in time, take me to this other place. And even to this day, when I'm watching something, I see something, it'll just hit this sweet spot in my soul.
Yeah. Or, there's just some things you say it and everyone instantly knows.
Yeah.
You're connected over this one phrase or this one just common episode that everyone's like, oh, yeah. And then you just start quoting it back and forth, and it's fun.
One of which, and this is I don't want to talk long about this because it's a movie, technically.
Oh.
And we'll talk about this in the best Christmas movies pod that we'll do. But when they started running A Christmas Story 24 hours on TNT and what's the other one? TBS, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I almost called it WTBS, which is what it used to be back in the day.
Oh.
Then they dropped the W.
As they should, because that confuses me with WGN. So,
excuse me. But when they started running Christmas Story 24 hours, I mean, that's literally one of these things. I don't think a Christmas Eve goes by where I'm not, getting prepared for the next day for Christmas morning while watching Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm.
At least a few times. By the time Christmas Day is over, I will have watched Christmas Story at least 3 times in its entirety, probably. Used to be I would drink a nice glass of eggnog when everything was set up and ready and just kind of chill out and relax. But in my age, I can't do that anymore. Doesn't sit right with the stomach, Cody.
Yeah.
Give you anyways,
You're either too young or too old for that moment.
Give me one of your memories. We'll just alternate. Let's just go back and forth here.
Okay, so something that growing up was an episode that was on every Christmas, and so this was part of my childhood. Saved by the Bell.
Oh wow! Okay.
So
I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're talking about.
So as a kid, I really loved this episode. Well, it's actually a 2-part episode, so there's 2 episodes.
We're gonna go woke all over this, aren't we?
Yes, we will. But so they have a Saved by the Bell, a Home for Christmas episode is what it's titled.
Oh my goodness.
And they're at the mall.
Of course they are. And naturally.
Who wasn't or isn't? And Screech and Zach see this homeless guy shaving in the mall. I don't remember if it's the fountain area. So and they're working at the stores in the mall, and they're shopping at the mall, and they're going to do a play at the mall because life happens around the mall in the early 90s.
Let's go to the mall. Yeah.
Well, Zach finds this beautiful young lady, and he tries to win her over, and then he finds out she's homeless.
Of course.
And that her dad just happens to be the homeless guy that was shaving
because
at the mall.
Of course, homeless guy has a hot daughter.
Yes. And
this episode's classic.
It is. And eventually they do a Christmas tale as their Christmas play, and they have like this heartwarming connection moment for the individuals that are without homes in the story.
Yeah. Heartwarming.
And, Zach ends up with the girl because, of course, why not? Now, flash forward to Cody, who loves watching the Funny or Die videos. Zach Morris is trash.
Yeah, he's totally trash.
And this particular couple of episodes gets blasted, and it is wonderful.
Zach Morris is straight garbage.
Like, throughout this whole time, like, he makes fun of homeless people. He, like, is only generous to the dad so then he can get with the daughter. And it's like, he's just bad all the way around.
Man.
Which, if you haven't listened to the Zach Morris's trash episodes,
how was everyone in love with Zach Morris?
I don't know.
What happened? He was pretty much garbage that whole show.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's so many episodes looking back on things that he did to Screech and to AC and to Kelly and like everyone. Poor Mr. Belding.
Did he drive Mr. Belding to an early grave?
Maybe.
Or is Mr. Belding still alive in the reboot?
He's not in the reboot. I know that.
Wow. Yeah, that was a classic. That's a classic Christmas episode.
Yes. And
or was it an episode or was it just a straight up special?
I
was it like standalone?
So it had 2 episodes. So it was part 1, part 2.
Okay. So it was a part of the series.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then, like, there's no connective tissue to it afterwards besides they go to the mall.
That happens sometimes. Ted Lasso does that. Mm-hmm. Ted Lasso had a Christmas episode they look much better than Zach Morris.
Oh, yeah.
They're much better people than Zach Morris, but it has really no connective tissue with the outside story of what's going on in the bulk of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saved by the Bell. That's a classic. Absolute classic. I'm going to go. This is a special one for me. You have to understand that before the internet, kids, young people, we didn't just like my kids have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm say what I'm about to say. Okay. But Christmas specials were like appointment television.
Yeah.
Like they would put commercials on for weeks telling you when the Charlie Brown Christmas special is going to be on. Mm-hmm. And man, that date would be etched in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, and I had to be, if I was not at home in front of the TV at that time, I was going to scream bloody murder.
Your poor mom.
Because they would only air it once.
Yeah.
One time each Christmas season. So Charlie Brown Christmas special was one that was really special to me. It's actually made in 1965. It's the first TV special based on the comic strip Peanuts by Charles Schulz. And it debuted in 1965. In the special, Charlie Brown finds himself depressed despite the onset of the cheerful holiday season. Lucy suggests he directs a neighborhood Christmas play, but his best efforts are ignored and mocked by his peers when he chooses a real but puny Christmas tree as a centerpiece, which has become iconic, by the way, a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. After Linus speaks of the true meaning of Christmas, the neighborhood decorates the tree as a Christmas gift to Charlie Brown. Now, here's a little side note. I'm a pastor, but I didn't grow up going to church. I had no exposure to church stuff. I had no exposure to the Bible, no exposure to Jesus. So in the point of the story where Linus is like a pastor in this movie almost. Because he basically preaches the gospel.
Oh, yeah. Which I have the Gospels according to the Peanuts, like miniature books.
Yeah. Harriet Van Horn of the New York World Telegram hailed the scene in which Linus recites scripture, commenting, Linus's reading of the story of the Nativity was quite simply the dramatic highlight of the season. Now, first of all, no critic would ever give it that sort of thing a good review now.
No.
Because we live in different times. But I'm going to tell you something. That had a big impact on me. I mean, to have Linus, a cartoon character, lay out like the true meaning of Christmas, what Christmas is, to someone who had no exposure to that other than like the songs, Christmas carols. This is just really important to me.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And if I hadn't watched it, I was so thankful to watch it with my kids here a few years back because I hadn't watched it in years and I'd kind of forgotten just how big of a part that actually all plays in the show. And it just made me think like, oh yeah, they could never do this now. And in fact, it's kind of lost its place in society. Whereas it was way more important to kids when I was a kid and even a little bit older when that was on. And now it's just kind of forgotten.
Yeah. I don't think I've watched it in probably 20 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because like you said, even when I was still a kid, they would advertise like airing on ABC at this time.
What do you got for me?
Okay, I'm going to go one that launches like me into a fandom. And it just happened to be a Christmas episode. The Christmas Invasion, a Doctor Who story.
Okay, yeah, you're a big Doctor Who guy.
Okay, I'm not the biggest Doctor Who guy.
I'm gonna hurt my pop culture cred here because I am not a Whovian.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I never got into it.
And so like,
now you said Christmas episodes are important in Doctor Who lore, right?
oh yeah, they have specials like each year around Christmas episodes. So they're like, this one's not my favorite episode that is a Christmas episode because they do one that is based around the Christmas Carol, and they actually meet what's his name? The guy that wrote Christmas Carol.
Charles Dickens?
Yeah, they met Charles Dickens.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. And then which is the great thing about a show that has not only space travel, but it has time travel.
Wait, it was a real Charles Dickens?
Yeah, they go back and
the actual guy.
Yeah.
Not an actor.
Thanks a lot. Anyway, so, but then they also have an episode, a Christmas episode that's based around the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, wow.
And so they do really fun Christmas episodes.
Okay.
But then there's some that are like really heartbreaking because like the end of David Tennant's run, they have like a 2-part Christmas episode where like his emissary like in him are like battling it out, and this beloved old man basically causes David Tennant to die. So heartbreaking. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't watched it.
I'm sure it was.
You literally have had like 12 years now, but that's between you and I and Dave and whoever else. So but no, this episode, so Doctor Who sometimes has really great storytelling, but sometimes it's really cheap. And so in this story, the villain is like some like alien race, but they like inhabit the plastic Santa light up figurines.
Okay.
And like they like explode and stuff, and
wow. Interesting.
BBC has a tight budget until like towards the end of David Tennant's run. They're like, oh, Doctor Who's kind of catching on.
Yeah, sometime before Downton Abbey.
Yeah, and then like Matt Smith makes bow ties cool.
Does he?
He does.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
I thought that was Pee Wee Herman that made him cool. No, am I wrong?
He might have originally, but Matt Smith brought him back.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Listen.
So we got the Who Christmas specials out of the way.
I would not denigrate anything that brought you Christmas joy in your pop culture history. When we're just talking about TV episodes, there's so many out there. I recently watched with my daughter, my oldest daughter, the Secret Santa episode of The Office.
Yankee Swap,
yeah, season 2. And it's like one of the main episodes for the whole Jim and Pam story.
Oh yeah,
because Jim has gotten Pam this like really sweet gift, and Michael Scott has ruined everything as he likes to do by declaring a swap, all because he spent way more than the limit on an iPod.
Not just any iPod, a video iPod. And when they said he spent, was it 300 or 400? I don't remember, but
it was a lot.
So I also had a first generation video iPod.
Whoa.
And yeah.
Did it still have the circular like pad on it? You remember the iPods with the circular pad where you would like move your thumb in a circle to scroll?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You had one of those? Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. That's such a great episode. The Office has several Christmas episodes that are really good. The one where, isn't there one where Dwight dresses up as Krampus? Or what's he? It's not Krampus. It's
some
Dutch.
Yeah, it's the Dutch Mennonite version of it.
He's scrolling. He's looking it up. The Office is just generally has great
Belschnickel.
Belschnickel. That's it. Belschnickel.
Yes.
That's a wonderful episode. Also, I was thinking Friends, maybe more well known for their Thanksgiving episodes, but also had some classics. I was reminded of the one where Ross dresses up as the holiday armadillo.
Yes. I was going to say there are some definite classic episodes.
I'm the holiday armadillo. And Chandler comes in dressed as Santa Claus and ruins the whole thing, right? Because Ross is Jewish in the show, but the mom of his boy is not. So he's got the tug of war going on. The kid is all about Santa. And he's trying to get him interested in Hanukkah. Now, I don't remember the conceit of why he's dressed up as an armadillo.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But that's, I suppose, what made it funny. Another thing, if I could just add on to the Charlie Brown stuff, all of the Christmas specials that were like claymation, before claymation, I guess stop motion would be the better way to put it. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
So, like,
what was the weird one? There was a weird one.
There was a weird one?
Yeah, not Rudolph, but another stop motion one. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me.
I hope it does, because I'm trying to think. Don't say Little Drummer Boy.
No,
although that would be one of the specials.
It was a really odd cat one, but I think it was like a spin-off of the
Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah, and it had a really weird, like, bad guy character.
Oh, was it the Heat Miser?
Yeah,
I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called though. But it was like someone had done too much LSD or something when they wrote that back in the 60s.
That one was scary, traumatizing. So like I would throw Rudolph into like the Christmas movie category.
Really?
I would.
I wasn't that long, was it?
I don't know, but it felt like it was.
This says 47 minutes. I mean, yeah. Burl Ives.
Yes.
So the voice of the
snowman,
the Frosty, and the Grinch song. You're the mean one, Mr. Grinch. That was Burl Ives.
Yeah, in which the claymation Burl Ives for the snowman and Frost are in Rudolph. It looks a lot like Burl Ives.
Yeah, and so they play off that in the movie Elf as well. That snowman looks like almost identical to the Burl Ives snowman.
Yeah.
And I think it's meant to be kind of like that snowman, at least in my head.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little throwback things, I think, in the movie Elf that links up with Rudolph.
Yeah.
But like my favorite part's Bumble's bounce.
Man.
Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah,
is
Yukon, right?
Like, oh, don't you know? Bumble's bounce. That's how he lived.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, man. I need to rewatch that. It's been so long.
Oh, that's a
I
classic.
find that vaguely familiar, but I need to rewatch it. Do you have another one? Do you have another memory?
So The Office has so many.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Moroccan Christmas episode where like it sets up the downfall of Andy and Angela's relationship and
Liaison.
yeah. And like there's a lot of funny moments in that one. I had another thing I was going to mention, but then we got to talking about Rudolph and it got me sidetracked.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Seinfeld.
Yes. Yeah.
Festivus for the rest of
Right.
us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'd be remiss if we did not mention the Festivus episodes.
Yeah.
That was an ongoing thing too.
It was.
Because that would become an every Christmas thing with I'm thinking of his real name, Jerry Stiller. I can't think of his Mr. Costanza.
Yeah.
His character was all about Festivus for the rest of us. When it comes to TV, there's one that sticks out of my mind, and I'm embarrassed to do so as a pastor.
Oh.
But I need to preface this by saying I wasn't always saved. I wasn't always a Christian. But this is absolutely iconic for people my age and just below. That would be the Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh episode of South Park.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I still remember the song. Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh, I love me, I love him, and he loves you. Therefore, vicariously, he loves you. It was essentially, it was a magical character, a magical talking Pooh.
Yeah.
Listen, the South Park guys, although incredibly vulgar, incredibly uncouth, absolutely brilliant. They're just genius.
Yeah.
And you don't have to label them. That doesn't make them their entertainment great. But it's brilliant. And I remember that being pretty iconic for me for a few years at least. And I still know the song.
So that means it was somewhat meaningful.
Yeah, I think so.
For me, like if we're going to go down the animated rabbit hole a little bit, like so this isn't a quote unquote Christmas episode because it's a Hanukkah episode, but Rugrats. Like,
oh, wow.
So they do a lot of, so one side of Tommy's family is Jewish. And so they like retell like the Hebrew Bible stories through like baby versions of it. And like some things get misconstrued because they hear one thing and it's not actually what was said. And so like it was always kind of funny. Mm-hmm. And they also had a few Christmas episodes, and then like Mickey Mouse had the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, the
Mickey's Christmas Carol was really good. So
yeah, yeah.
For a children's cartoon, it was good.
Okay, but what was the Muppet Christmas Carol was better though, right?
Yeah.
The Muppets do that sort of thing real well. With Mickey, it seems sort of contrived. I got to be real.
Well, they had Scrooge McDuck as Ebenezer, so
yeah. Are there any other TV episodes that we need to mention?
So, like, we briefly mentioned it, but I really loved the Ted Lasso Christmas episode, even though it really did not connect with any of the other stories that were happening.
Yeah. Well, the heart of that show, and that episode just highlights it.
Yes, like I love that all the football players show up to that what's his name's house. The guy that's part of the Diamond Dogs.
His name escapes me right now, but yeah.
Yeah, they all show up and they all bring their like traditional home dishes, and like it's just a beautiful, touching moment. All except for Jamie Tart, which I noticed Jamie wasn't there, and I was expecting that to be like part of like the next episode. Like, why was Jamie not here? But no.
Okay, so there's backstory to that episode. So they had the story in place for season 2, and we're into filming it when the first season came out.
Yeah.
And it took off so big that Apple TV, who they're doing it for, said, we want 2 more episodes. So there are 2 episodes in season 2 of Ted Lasso that are actually filler, that are not a part of the grander story because they were thought up by their writers after the fact and filmed, some of which after the fact. The other one's really obvious if you think about it. It's the Coach Beard episode. Now, but here's the thing.
Trippy.
I loved the Coach Beard episode.
I loved it, but it was so like, oh my goodness, like what's happening?
Some people hated it. I loved the Coach Beard episode. I loved the Christmas episode. So I was all for it, but it does have special circumstances that, caused it.
Yeah.
Other TV stuff. How I Met Your Mother was always more of a Thanksgiving show. They had the Slapsgiving episodes. Cheers. This is probably older for a lot of people. Cheers had a couple good Christmas episodes, but nothing that sticks out that I remember like specifically.
Let's see. I saved one because I knew that you would probably know it. I did not know it because
okay. This putting a lot of pressure on me.
So like on Christmas Eve, Rebecca asks all the Cheers bartenders to stay and work, and Sand ends up scrounging up quite the last minute gift for her. Does this ring a bell?
Vaguely. Man, it's been so long. That's probably due for a rewatch for me. The Christmas episode, or just Cheers in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he needs to buy Rebecca a nice gift because, of course, Sam Malone is pretty much crushing on some girl in every season of that. For the first half of them, it's Diane Long. Is that her name? Or no, her name's Diane.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Shelley Long was the actress's name. And then she leaves because she thought she was going to make it big in movies. Spoiler alert, she was not. Even though she was in Money Pit with Tom Hanks.
Great movie, by the way.
Is it? It's great? You think it's great?
It has Tom Hanks in it, and it's funny.
Well, Tom Hanks early on in his career wasn't a hit machine. I mean, dude was in Joe versus the Volcano. Let's not get excited.
Never saw Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah, obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so quick to label everything Tom Hanks is in as good.
Or is he the best part of Joe versus the Volcano? And you get the glimpses of it.
See, only someone who hasn't seen Joe versus the Volcano would know that that's not a compliment either. Being the best part of Joe versus Volcano is not a compliment. Because it's that bad.
I feel I need to go out of my way to watch this.
Another Christmas episode that we haven't talked about. Community did several great Christmas episodes. But they did one that was actually, this is not my favorite. I didn't like this, but a lot of people did. It was the stop motion claymation.
I was going to say
episode of Community. Won an Emmy.
Was like heartbreaking. In moments, because you find out why Abed is having this hallucination, and it's because his mom always comes home for Christmas and she wasn't coming back this year.
Yeah. That's why I didn't like it. It was so sad.
I also liked the very first or Christmas episode of Community because Shirley tries to take over that one. And then,
is that the one with Christmas Troy?
I believe it ends with Christmas Troy. Yeah. And then
see, that one's classic.
There is like this part where she starts briefly, and it's just the briefest of moments, but she starts singing "Jesus is a Friend of Mine." And so,
I forgot about that. We get the sun seed.
Yeah,
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend.
I also like the episode. I think it's a Christmas episode. Yeah, it is, where they had the huge snowball fight.
Oh yeah.
With that one guy.
Man, this is a great podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One guy.
Listen, we've got a support button. I don't know how everyone's just not hitting the support button right now.
Yes.
Just send us all the monies. You can't buy better entertainment than this. It's got that one guy. That one guy, that guy. Looking at me like I can't help you.
Is it Thomas?
C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah.
C. Thomas Howell. It's the Soul Man. Oh, they couldn't make that movie.
No.
Not either. He's literally in blackface in that whole movie. That's a side note. We don't need to go there.
Yeah. Forget that one. Never existed.
C. Thomas Howell has.
Yeah. And then the episode where they are doing Glee. They're singing, and then the guy from Saturday Night Live is their coach, and he's like, "We're going to make it to regionals." Come to find out, he killed the last group. So
yeah, Community has some solid Christmas episodes.
Solid show.
Any more really? We kind of got away from this, but Christmas memories for you, just memories of pop culture Christmas stuff.
So, it would be the stop motion movies.
Yeah.
That are kind of long for just a Christmas episode, but kind of short for a full out movie. Mm-hmm. So you got Rudolph. Every year, my mom made us watch The Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, wow.
Every year. And as I got older, because I was never a huge fan of it, but I'd watch it with my mom because it's just something that we did. Uh-huh. And
those are some of the best memories. Though.
Yes. And then as I got older, I'm like, what mother would want this kid banging on the drums while her child's sleeping?
Don't think about Little Drummer Boy for too long. None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll play my drum for... What, are you kidding me? Don't wake up the baby.
He gets captured, sold into slavery. He breaks out. He's like a circus performer. I mean, there's just so much happening in the Little Drummer Boy. Until we finally meet the baby Jesus, and then we're playing the drums, and it must be the most soothing thing in the world.
Some of those, I'm telling you, some of those old Christmas stop motion things. Specials. Some of those were oh man, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
there's some crazy stuff going on in there.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
We'll talk much more about this in a couple of weeks when we do our best Christmas movies pod.
There might be a throwdown.
Yeah, during that one. We'll talk much more about this. But I would be remiss again. I'm going to talk about the way pop culture used to be before the internet. So for me, the way I was exposed to a lot of the old Christmas movies, in particular, A Christmas Carol starring Alastair Sims.
Oh, yeah.
Black and white. Mm-hmm. Was on Saturday afternoons. They would just show these old Christmas movies during this time of year. It's how I was exposed to that Christmas Carol a lot. White Christmas. Even Holiday Inn, which isn't a Christmas movie per se, but it's got the debut of White Christmas, the song, Bing Crosby in that. And I just remember, even as a kid, I loved playing outside and everything, but boy, when one of those movies was on and I caught a sight of it, I was sitting down and watching it. Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah. So, like, when I was growing up, VHS was popular.
Yeah.
And, like, my grandparents also, like, recorded VHS tapes. Like, it would be air on TBS or whatever, and they would have it recorded. And so then we could watch that movie with all the commercials in it on repeat if we wanted to.
Fast forward.
You can fast forward. Evidently, Hot Wheels aren't good for VCRs.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, not good. All right. We're out of time. Thank you so much for listening. If we missed something, if something was special to you in your Christmas season pop culture TV watching, share it with us on our Facebook page, Pop Culture Pastor.
Don't you dare say Barney. Don't you dare.
What do you got against Barney? What did he ever do to you?
So much.
Yeah, like, listen, my 3-year-old would say the Christmas episode of Blippi. Very special to him.
He would be right.
Share with us on our Facebook page. Come talk to us. We're also on Twitter as well. Share that. If you like the podcast, you can hit the listener support button. We won't get mad at you. We pledge that none of that money will really go into our pocket. We'll spend it on improving the podcast and doing things to help make us a better product.
Yeah. Tell a friend.
Yeah, the most important thing is share the podcast. If you like an episode, share it on your social media. Tell everyone what you think about it. That would be great, and that would help us a lot. All right.
Okay.
Hey, love you guys. We'll see you next week.